Now that you're able to import some data into Slicer, we can go over the basics of navigating Slicer. The window is basically broken up into three components: this top toolbar, the viewport with your data, and the module tab where you will contain the primary tools that we're using. The top toolbar is kind of a mix of miscellaneous things and the most important tools. So there's a couple I'd just like to highlight for you. First, you'll see this File Edit View menu that you're probably familiar with from other applications. The only part of this menu that you will really need to access on a regular basis that can't be accessed from other parts of Slicer is this Edit Application Preferences. That will allow you to set any application preferences you need to change for better using Slicer. You should already be familiar with these data and icon buttons that are used to load your Slicer data. They can also be found under the File menu. Similarly, the Save button can also be found under the File menu, and you'll use quite frequently. Finally, I wanted to point out this Extensions Manager, which will allow you to install extra tools and things from the wide array of tools that have been developed by outside people. Next, moving to the viewport. This is where you'll really be able to see and interact with your data. Right now I have it in Slice plus 3D view, also called 4-up. So basically what this 4-up view is showing me is a 3D view, which doesn't have anything in it right now because it hasn't been rendered. And then the 3 slice views of my data. So this lets me see this volume at different angles. This first red slice is a sagittal view, although this could be different depending on how your CT data is oriented. And here you can see this green slice is a transverse view. Well, this yellow slice would be more of a frontal view. So not only can I move through these slices by scrolling my mouse wheel, but I can also click and drag this toggle on the top of each slice here. Another very useful tool is to hold Shift, and then without holding down any mouse buttons, move over a slice. This will move the other 2 slices to the same point, so that you can be looking at, say, this tooth on all 3 slices. Additionally, if you click the yellow crosshairs up here, when you hold Shift and drag around, you will be able to see exactly which point all 3 slice views are sitting at. This can be a really good tool for getting to know your data. Some other things you might want to do to navigate are zoom in, which you can do by holding down the right mouse button and dragging, panning by holding down the middle mouse button and dragging, or adjusting the contrast and brightness. You can do this by holding down the left mouse button and dragging. The dragging left to right will adjust the contrast of the image, while dragging up and down will adjust the brightness. By playing around with this, you can get a better idea of the best contrast and brightness for your particular scan. An additional useful navigation tool is that you can recenter your slice views or your 3D view if you get completely lost. So now I've panned completely out of view, but if I click this little center button up in the left corner of the slice view, it will completely recenter the slice for me. Sometimes it is helpful to change away from this default view. You can do that by going up to this button on the toolbar, which will have a menu of many different view types. Realistically, you probably will only need to use a few of these. The first really useful ones are these single slice views, so you can do either the red, yellow, or green depending on your preference. And these are usually helpful for segmenting, which is a process we'll get to later. Additionally, there's of course a 3D only view, so if you're just looking at a 3D rendering, this can be a very helpful way to look at things. Now let's take a look at the modules in Slicer. Slicer is basically divided up so that each different tool is in a separate module. This is the modules menu right here, and you can see some of the most used ones will appear right here, whereas the others are divided into these different menus. Or you can go to the All Modules tab to see all of the different modules you have, and you can add others by going to the Extensions Manager. Some I would like to highlight. We've already talked a little bit about the Data tab, but this is very useful. Right now I only have one object in the scene, but the Data tab will show every single object you put into the scene, so it can be quite useful when you've got a lot of different things going on to manage exactly what you have. Another useful module we've already touched on is this Volumes module. That will give you the data about the volume you're currently looking at. So for instance, the image spacing on this particular specimen is 0.04 or 40 microns. We will be returning to these modules many different times throughout this series, but it is good to know that this is where you can find all of it.